Today, I sit before you to explore the often underestimated art of receiving, particularly in the feminine context. We live in a fast-paced, achievement-orientated society. The focus is often on giving, on accomplishing, on achieving. However, I believe that the art of receiving is just as essential, especially for women who are often encouraged to be the caretakers and nurturers of their relationship. Not to mention the kind of woman who wants to be in a relationship with a strong, capable, masculine man. One that she can love, she can admire, she can respect. Now, even if that's not you, this is still going to be incredibly valuable because it doesn't just apply to the romantic relationships we have, it applies to all relationships we have with family, with friends, with work colleagues. This is how women like Marilyn Monroe, like Paris Hilton, like Kim Kardashian rose to the heights of their time. Like, for example, how you know is because if you ask, what does Kim Kardashian actually do? What is she actually famous for? We don't really know. But what we do know is that she is the biggest and most recognizable Kardashian out of all of them for a reason. And I guarantee you a big part of that edge that made her the most successful one is honing that feminine art of receiving. Now, receiving isn't just simply passively waiting for things to come our way. It is an active and conscious practice that opens up a world of possibilities and abundance. It is about shifting our mindset and allowing us to receive gifts and opportunities and support when they come our way. One aspect of the feminine art of receiving is embracing vulnerability. It can often be a struggle for women in today's world to allow themselves to be vulnerable, for fear of others seeing her as weak or as dependent. Hence the cultural wave of I'm strong and I'm independent. But vulnerability is not a weakness. It is actually a woman's greatest strength, to have the courage to be vulnerable. And the reason it's a woman's greatest strength and not a man's is because it is in a woman's vulnerability that inspires the man to move mountains for her. Like, no, women have not always had the same equal opportunities that men have had historically. That is true. However, in every society, women's vulnerability has always been protected and in many cases died for amongst men. This is why the damsel in distress has always been so powerful in moving a man to action. Now, don't get me wrong, this isn't me saying that every woman needs to be a damsel in distress, but it's about not underestimating the power of vulnerability that you have, because that plays into the art of receiving. It is through vulnerability that we open ourselves up to opportunities, to connection, to love, to empathy. And so by a woman learning to embrace vulnerability, it creates a space in her for others to give to her freely and authentically. Another crucial aspect of receiving is recognizing one's worth and value. Sometimes we tend to diminish our accomplishments, abilities, and achievements, thinking that we don't deserve the recognition or the praise. But it is important to remember that any goodness that comes our way because we are worthy of it, because we deserve it. It comes our way for a reason. By a woman acknowledging and valuing herself, it allows others to see her worth and bestow upon her opportunities. Now, I do want to make it clear that value to the world and self-value are two different things. Self-value is the value we have as spiritual beings having this physical existence in which we are all on a level playing field. Value to the world is the exchange of value to whatever market that we're talking about. And what we're talking about here is the self-value. And part of the art of receiving involves active gratitude. Gratitude is a powerful force that attracts more blessings into our life. Gratitude is the attitude for happiness. By expressing sincere gratitude for what we have received, we attract more abundance, more joy, and more love into our lives. Gratitude shifts our focus from scarcity to abundance and from lack to fulfillment. Having a level of gratitude just creates that ripple effect of generosity and kindness. Another layer of the art of receiving is learning to ask for help and support when needed. I know, in a world where it seems like being strong and independent is the only way forward, asking for help can seem detrimental to the image. And many women struggle with this complex. They think asking for help makes everyone else think that she's weak and incapable. However, asking for help is not a sign of weakness, but rather an act of courage and self-awareness. It allows us to step back from the need to control everything and opens us up to the support and assistance that others are willing to offer. And a little hint, Men love it when you ask them for help. They love knowing how they can serve you in a way that is going to be the most beneficial for you. People think that if somebody asks us to do them a favor, they're asking us because they like us more, when in actuality, it is whoever is serving the favor makes them like the other person more. It's called the Ben Franklin effect. The reason this happens is because if we're the person doing the favor, we justify to ourselves subconsciously to muster the effort required to do that favor, essentially having to put effort in for the other person. And because we're putting in more effort in for someone else, it's in our own psychological interest to like them more, because then it justifies the effort that we're making for them. Did that make sense? It made sense in my head. Basically, doing a guy to do you a favor, it makes him like you more. And then the final layer of the art of receiving is surrendering. Surrendering to the flow of life. There are some aspects of our lives we just can't control. And by trying to do so, it just creates unnecessary stress and resistance in our life. Now, don't get me wrong, surrendering is not the same as giving up. It's more about trusting in the process, while still remaining open to whatever life brings. This may be hard to recognize, but the most successful people in whatever endeavor that they choose to do always manage to turn a disadvantage into an advantage. Lizzo felt disadvantaged by her size in the music industry that she's in. Instead of fighting that, she let into that, and now she's a super icon for larger women. Jim Carrey dropped out of school and was practically homeless in his teens. But then he used all the time that he had from not being in school and not having that stress and worry to really hone his skills as a comedy actor and writer. Sylvester Stallone had a very complicated birth, and so because of it, was slightly paralyzed in some parts of his face. But instead of trying to hide that, he used his unique way of talking and grit to become a Hollywood superstar. It is through surrendering that we recognize and seize the opportunities that come our way, because there can always be a silver lining found in whatever it is that we come across. This video is to remind you that life is about balance. And in this fast-paced world where results favor the masculine side of us, don't forget to let your feminine serve you as well, especially as a woman, because this is what needs a man to serve you. If you're ready for that man to come into your life, then enroll in my Claim Your Man program below, where I show you exactly how to do that. Thanks for tuning in, and as always, keep it slick.